And every once in a while, there's an undrafted quarterback who ends up being a great quarterback, like a Tony Romo or a Kurt Warner. But for the most part, if you want a great quarterback, you have to rely on the draft, typically high in the draft. And that's what the Giants have done in their quest to find the replacement eventually or sooner for Eli Manning. Daniel Jones taken 6th overall by the Giants. And, Chris, there has been a lot of effort made by GM Dave Gettleman to defend the decision to take Jones with the 6th overall pick instead of waiting for the 17th overall pick. Now, you were all over this last week. Once the word started to get out that Jones could be one of the top quarterbacks, there was one team that had him as the best quarterback on the board, and Gil Brandt compared him to Peyton Manning. You saw through it. The Giants were putting this out there to get people comfortable with the idea that they were going to take Daniel Jones.
Right.
The problem is, by putting it out there, they had to worry about somebody getting him before they could get him at 17, so they had to take him at number 6. Dave Gettleman said in defending the decision to take Jones at number 6, I know for a fact that there were 2 teams who would have taken Jones before 17. It wasn't easy for me to pass up Josh Allen. It was very, very difficult, but I think that much of Daniel Jones, and as his future as an NFL quarterback, that's what Gettleman said on Saturday. And look, the only way you know for a fact what a team's going to do in the draft is if you've tapped their phones. There's no way to know for a fact what anyone is going to do in the draft until their picks are made. Then you know factually what they did. No one ever knows what a team is going to do because it's all cloaked in secrecy, except when you're the Giants, Chris, and you put the word out there for anyone who's paying attention to realize they wanted Daniel Jones.
Yeah, well, they were trying to start the propaganda wagon right there to sell it to the fan base. I think that's where, it all started, and again, hey, you're right. I mean, you don't know for a fact 2 teams were involved. I mean, we've already heard Mike Kliss from Denver, who is, all things John Elway. He reported last night that number 1 quarterback on the Denver Broncos board was Drew Lock. So that's one
But they're not going to admit that Jones was your guy, because John Elway probably spent all weekend saying to Drew Lock, you were my guy all along.
Yes, you're right. So we don't know the truth there either way. You're right. Exactly right. So we don't know. Either way, it comes down to this. Now, I'm not mad at the Giants for taking Daniel Jones at number 6. If they believed he was the guy in the future of their franchise, you do it. You don't roll the dice on any of that. Now, the problem they have gotten to, again, here is Daniel Jones worth the number 6 pick of the draft? No, certainly not one of the most 6 talented guys in the 2019 NFL draft, but he is quarterback. He's overvalued that way just by being a quarterback to begin with. But they felt he was the guy. They made the move. They went ahead and did it. Again, I think the tone of all this is a lot different if he did get picked at 17 or at the top of the 2nd round. I think Giants fans would feel very positive. The big issue is, even the common fan can watch highlights and things of Daniel Jones and go, it doesn't look that great. And I think that's what bothers a lot of the fan base more than anything. No, this guy's a smart guy. He's an accurate thrower. He's big. He's a good athlete. They feel like he plays the quarterback position the right way. That's why he was drafted. And I'm going to say something I said to start the show at 7 o'clock. Yeah, I've seen worse first-round picks out of quarterbacks here in just recent history, okay? I mean, whether you want to get into Paxton Lynch with the Denver Broncos, Blake Bortles at number 3, Christian Ponder at number 7, or 10, excuse me. Who else am I missing? Johnny Manziel at 22, Tim Tebow in the first round. I'm just telling all Giants fans to talk them off the ledge right now. This guy is certainly a better pick than any of those. I would say it's better than Teddy Bridgewater at 32. He has more talent than those guys right off the bat. Now, he doesn't have the hype and maybe some of the sex appeal those guys had, and that's why fans are a little down on it. But it is bothering me a little, and I guess I feel a little bit guilty to be a part of this, where I was saying to pick him at number 6 was crazy, but the Giant fan base is killing this kid up here, and I don't necessarily love that aspect of it. This kid still has a chance to be something and be something good. I don't think he was worth number 6, but like I said, there's positives here, and he does have a lot of franchise quarterback traits.
Yeah, a lot of the guys you rattled off weren't top 10 quarterbacks. There's something about a top 10 draft pick.
I get it.
This is a rare draft pick to have, although not so rare for the Giants in recent years. But they're trying to get out of having top 10 draft picks. And if you're going to take a guy in the top 10, he had better be a star player. There had better not be a rolling of the dice. And that's what it feels like here. And part of the problem is the Giants are responsible for him not being available at 17 because they decided to inject into the mainstream news cycle the idea that Jones is a guy that they were locked onto. I mean, the Raiders were able to get Cleveland Farrell at 4. They were trying to trade down. They were hoping somebody would call. Nobody did. That's from Peter King's Football Morning in America, because it was so quiet about Farrell that they could have gotten him later because nobody knew they were on to him.
Right. Well, he wasn't worth the number 4 pick, but they went with the guy they liked. So it's okay. But go ahead. Sorry.
But when it's a quarterback, it's different. And when you're the Giants and you've been in the middle of this vortex of criticism for how you've handled Eli Manning, you've just got to get it right. And, here's the bottom line. And this is the truth. The truth isn't that Dave Gettleman knew for a fact there were 2 other teams that were going to take him. That's baloney. The concern was this. It was so out in the open that they liked Daniel Jones. They were running the risk of someone trading up to 16 to get him before they could. This isn't about a couple of teams, Washington and Denver, who were between 6 and 17. This is about some team that was after 17 that could have jumped over them at 16, which quite possibly would have happened because we all knew they were going to take Jones at 17 if they didn't take him at 6. And when it's that far out in the open, your only choice is to take him at 6. That's the truth.
Yeah.
It's not what Washington or Denver would have done. It's what some other team would have done to get to number 16.
Yeah, I get that. And, I would sit there and even challenge that and go, who? Who was going to trade up at that point?
Somebody who was keeping their mouths shut.
I guess
somebody who wanted Daniel Jones but didn't feel compelled to tell the world they wanted Daniel Jones.
Maybe.
I said that last week.
Yep.
If the Giants love this guy, they have to assume that there's out of 31 other teams, someone may love him as well.
Yeah, well, it's all over the place. Again, listen, I know I could rattle off a few teams that had Drew Lock as their number 1 quarterback. I could throw out a few teams that I know Dwayne Haskins was the number 1 quarterback. So, you never know where everybody is valued on a certain football team.
But for teams that have quarterbacks,
Yeah.
right, I know that they rank them anyway.
Yeah.
It means a hell of a lot less if they're not going to draft a quarterback, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, but I still think that even teams that have quarterbacks, they do their due diligence on the position no matter what. And they're going to do their allotted time, the offensive coordinator and the GM, because quarterback's just too important of a position in the NFL to not evaluate everybody. You don't know if that guy comes your way maybe 4 years after free agency, whatever it may be. So there's all of that. I think at the base level, again, the Giants put themselves in this corner like you've said. They thought this was the guy. So they just said, we're going all in. This is the guy, and we're going to try to call our media friends to sell this guy on the New York area. The problem is, like I said, at a very base level, even the common fan can look at some of the highlights and go, doesn't look that special. And like you said, with the number 6 pick, you want special. That's really the issue in the backlash here, because you want somebody at the number 6 pick of the draft or any top 10 pick should have something truly elite about this guy. And I think the thing that the Giants think is elite about this guy is something that we can't really quantify as fans or evaluators in the media. And they think his decision-making and his ability to process information are all the elite traits of it. And yeah, the quarterback, the arm strength and the quickness in his feet and those things, are not quite to my liking as far as a quarterback goes, but they're still very good.
One of the things that Dave Gettleman said in the run-up to the draft is that he wants a guy who can handle the mental requirements of being the starting quarterback of a New York franchise. And you know what? Daniel Jones gets his first test right out of the
Holy
gates.
cow,
He's coming in the middle of this storm. And it's amazing to me. We're going to talk later in the week, I assume, about the over-under totals for rookie quarterbacks. There's a new sports book that's opening in Vegas June 1. They've got Daniel Jones over-under starts for 2019 at 7.5. Which is amazing to me, because my first thought is, take the under. And then you start thinking, they're trying to get us to take the under. What do they know that we don't, Chris?
Yeah, well, they're trying to get us to take the under. I guess the thing they know is this is the number 6 pick of the draft. We all know that Eli Manning is towards the bottom of football of starting quarterbacks. I would say he's actually even below the bottom as far as starting quarterbacks. I would name some backups that I think are better than Eli Manning at this point of his career. And Daniel Jones, at the very least, again, has has size, and when there's a lane that opens up, he can run. His arm is going to be stronger than Eli Manning's is right now, and I think that's probably what Vegas is looking at too. Again, there's that factor that we talked about a little bit with Dwayne Haskins and the Redskins. It's going to be one of those things, again, where, yeah, Eli's won 2 Super Bowls, but it's the end of his career. Daniel Jones is going to get on the field and look a level better than Eli Manning physically. Everyone's going to go, whoa, he looks stronger. Whoa, he's definitely faster. Whoa, he's definitely quicker. And even though his arm might not be Dwayne Haskins or Drew Lock or Kyler Murray, it's going to be stronger than Eli Manning's, to where the team and the coaches are all going to see that and go, damn, he's making throws Eli can't make in OTAs right now. And I'm guessing that's part of Vegas's logic as well.
I'm going to throw something out here for future reference. Just put a pin in this one.
Okay.
The idea. Now, because I think Eli Manning, if nothing else, is extremely self-aware. He gets it, right? And he sees where the handwriting is. I mean, it's sandblasted onto the wall that Daniel Jones is the future, and he knows how it was handled for him back in 2004, rather, when Kurt Warner, even though they were above 500, got benched for Eli Manning after 9 games.
Right.
If there's an injury to a quarterback, to a starting quarterback with another team, and I know Eli Manning has a no-trade clause. Maybe he would waive it for something like this, because Sal Paolantonio said late last week that Manning plans to play beyond 2019. And he surely knows it's most likely not going to be in New York, even though they're trying to throw out the Green Bay model now instead of the KC model. I won't be surprised if there's a starting quarterback that goes down like Teddy Bridgewater did 3 years ago, that we don't suddenly hear of the possibility of Eli Manning taking over that team, because at least he would go to a place where he knows he's the guy all year long. Because in New York, I think that it's safe for him to assume he may not be the guy all year long.
I don't think you're crazy with that. Again, I think, to your Teddy Bridgewater point, it would have to be a situation just like Philadelphia that year, where they get through training camp and they go, whoa, this Daniel Jones guy, our first-round pick, he knows the offense, and he's pretty good, and he's further along than we expected. So, yeah, we can move on from Eli Manning. But, man, I just don't know if the Maras could actually do that and trade an Eli Manning. It'd be very interesting to see. If you do get this right, I will call you something cool for a week, like, oh great God, Mike Florio or something, if that ends up happening.
Cool.
Yes.
I like the title, but I wouldn't say it's cool.
Okay, well, I'll find something else that we can agree on, but we got to wrap.
Keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it.
Right.
Keep an eye on it. But if it doesn't happen, never bring it up again.
Okay.
We're going to take a break. When we return, we need to bring up one of the biggest stories in the NFL. Draft and all, the Tyreek Hill situation continues to hover over the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL. We'll give you the latest and where this may be heading when PFT Live continues right after this.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.